Hi, I'm Peter Charles of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie another fly in my beginner's fly tying series. This time it's a pike fly called the Yak 9, and I give it that name because it's tied with yak hair. It's an incredibly effective pattern. I've caught a lot of pike with it, and so have some of my friends. It has also the qualities of being extremely durable and very easy to cast. Now, if you've ever cast pike flies in the past, you know they can be very difficult because many of them are very wind resistant. However, this one slicks right down and casts like a bullet, so there's no trouble getting it out there even when facing a headwind. It doesn't require a lot of casting energy, and it's an easy fly to cast all day. Also, our flies can get really wrecked when a pike gets its teeth on them. And when you pull this fly out of the fish's mouth, it can often look like a tangled mess. But just dunk it in the water and comb it out, and very, very quickly that yak hair straightens right out, and you can go right back to fishing again. You can catch dozens of fish on the same fly and just keep on fishing with it. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the hook I'm using is a 5/0 stainless steel saltwater hook. It's good for many, many uses, any kind of big toothy type critter. It's a heavy wire, heavy gauge hook, and that's important with this fly because I'm doing something I don't normally do. Yak hair is very dense, it sinks. Bucktail is very buoyant, it floats or is neutral. Normally I would put the yak hair on the bottom and the bucktail on the top to have it float and swim properly. However, this time I'm reversing that. The yak hair goes on the top. And if I used a light wire, small gape hook, it could literally flip it over. Instead of swimming like this, it will flip on its side. So we need this big wire, thick wire, heavy gauge, large gap hook in order to keep that fly tracking straight with that heavy yak hair on top. Okay, let's see what materials we're going to use. I keep talking about that yak hair, and here it is. It's a good foot long, and we're going to use the whole foot. The belly of the fly is going to be made out of white bucktail, and again we're going to use the tip hairs because they are solid. Our flash is going to be crystal flash in this chartreuse, and I also have this really neat looking flash as well, which is kind of a mixture of chartreuse and gold. You don't have to get real fancy with the flash. Any kind of goldish chartreuse flash will do in this particular fly. You could also use silver as well. Both have worked equally well. My thread is UTC in 140, and it's bright red. So let's get started. I'll tie my thread on at the beginning, and I'll put in a bed of thread about halfway back. We leave this part of the shank bare, so I'm stopping my thread here. And the first thing we tie on is the bucktail. Just like in other videos where I've used bucktail, this is full of short hair. As you can see, there's one right here. We want to get rid of all that short stuff, so we're going to put it over the garbage can and get rid of it. Just grab it by the tip and pull it out. Now, as you can see, that is considerably less than what we started working with. Now we've got a bit of loose ends at the front, so I'm going to trim those out. Now I'll just hold it on about a 45-degree angle, make a couple of wraps, and you see how that just spins around, and I'm just going to tie that down. Now, one thing I want to make sure is that it isn't spinning around the hook, that it's flat on both sides, and that's good. That looks good. Next, we're going to put in our crystal flash, and be generous here. Don't be bashful. This, after all, is a pike fly. It has to flash. So we need a good 6 inches of flash, so we're going to tie it in, leaving the ends ragged. Pinch loop. And just a quick check to make sure that's tied in okay. Hasn't spun. Okay, let's get rid of the tags. And I'll finish that off. You notice I'm working on this conical red head, and that's a feature of this fly. It's very, very effective. as a strike trigger. You want the pike to hit the head of the fly where the hook is, not the tail end where the hook isn't. Okay, here's our other flash. Now I'll just bring that up underneath, sit that on top, get it about the same length as my crystal flash. Pinch loop to keep it on top. Now I'll double check that to make sure I am seeing about equal amounts on both sides. And I'm going to trim that off. Now I just want to show one thing here. You notice how we're getting a taper built up in this head? That's deliberate. I started my bucktail in it here, and I'm moving the other components further back. That helps to create a taper. And each time I take a moment to continue the taper of that head. Okay, our last step is the yak here. And what I do is I've pulled off or separated a good chunk of it. I'm going to trim that off right at the end. Now I've got lots of strays and a mess here, so I'm going to comb all those loose bits out. Clean this up as much as possible. And I'm just going to bring my thread forward a little bit, about halfway down the head. Now what I want to do here is I want even amounts, so I'm just going to put in a couple of loose wraps. And I'm going to pick these up and make sure they're the right length. And then I'm going to push that down as best I can. Really grind that thread in there to buckle that down. Now I'm going to take a minute to make sure that's on top and not spinning on me. Now you'll see that we have this kind of knob here at the front. What we want to do, whoops, broke the thread. That is one risk with this fly. You do break thread because you're pulling very tight. Now I should really be using 210 instead of 140. Unfortunately, I don't have any 210. But a lot of companies produce what they call a big fly thread, and I do really recommend that when you're doing this kind of fly, where you really have to reef down on the materials very, very tightly. Now all I'm going to do here is build up this head and get my nice smooth cone going and get rid of that bump as best I can, which means building up the front. This job would be made easier, of course, if I was using 210 instead of 140. Being a thicker thread, I would build it up much quicker. You notice how I'm going diagonally like that as I get around the bump to fill in the space in front of it. Now I'll fill in the space behind it. There we go. That's pretty smooth. And we're ready for our whip finish. Now all I need to do is add some head cement to that head and be generous with it, get it good and thoroughly coated, and it'll be quite a durable fly. It'll last quite long. It's quite a long fly. It's going back now probably close to 7 inches. It has some translucence to it, which I like with the gack hair. As you can see, it doesn't look like a dense, very dense body. It will fluff up quite nice in water, so it has quite a good profile. And as I say, it's very durable. It lasts quite a long time with the tough pike teeth. So give it a try. Easy to tie, very easy to cast, and it works. Cheers.